All right, let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're unpacking something literally life-changing. We're looking at Noel Dazel's raw, sometimes stern, but incredibly supportive life advice, and we're synthesizing all of it into a definitive guide to building genuine confidence. Now, if you know Dazel's usual content, you know he usually comes across as this super soft, supportive giant, right? But for this topic, he takes a much sterner approach, and honestly, for good reason. He's incredibly passionate about these life lessons because, well, he had to figure them out entirely on his own. So we're going to break down his core values into structured pillars that you can apply like right now to stop waiting around and actually start building undeniable self-assurance.
So here's our blueprint for today. We've got Pillar 1, Action and Self-Reliance. Pillar 2, Mastering the Basics. Pillar 3, Protecting your environment. Pillar 4, Resilience and Boundaries. And finally, Pillar 5, True Confidence versus Arrogance. Let's kick things off with Pillar 1, Action and Self-Reliance.
You see, true confidence doesn't start with what you're wearing or how loud you talk. It starts totally internally. It actually requires you to make this fundamental shift in your mindset and actively become the hero of your own story. Because there's a really harsh but absolutely necessary truth we all have to face. No one is coming to save you. Dazel shares a pretty personal backstory here. His parents separated when he was young, which left him without a father figure, relying on a single mom who really struggled financially. And he reached a point where he was just desperate, literally begging for assistance. But then it hit him. His mother simply didn't have the means to help him. And that right there was his massive turning point. He realized that if he played the victim, if he stayed the victim, he was never going to achieve anything. The reality is, as we become adults, the only person we truly have to fall back on to get ourselves off the ground is us.
Okay, so how do we actually put that into practice? Well, here is Dazel's practical cure for what he calls a failure to launch. You know, so many young guys out there are just waiting around for the perfect time, right? The perfect opportunity, or they're waiting for someone to give them permission to take action on their own lives. And what happens? We end up talking ourselves out of amazing opportunities. So the solution is simple. Stop waiting for permission. Just take action on something you're passionate about. You definitely don't need to start a massive company or make radical life changes on day one. Just start messy. Seriously, start messy, but start. Taking ownership and taking that first clumsy step is way more likely to lead to a real result than just sitting there, taking no action at all.
Moving on to Pillar 2, Mastering the Basics. Now that you've got that internal drive firing and you're actually taking action, we kind of have to shift the focus a bit to your external projection, basically how the world actually perceives you. And listen, mastering your external projection absolutely does not have to be expensive. You do not need to wear the best designer brands or drop cash on the most expensive colognes. Just keep yourself well groomed, have a basic skincare routine, brush your hair, use a nice simple fragrance. Now, you might be wondering, why does this even matter if it's all about internal confidence? Well, because in the professional world, a clean exterior implies a clean interior. People are absolutely going to judge your work ethic based on your outside appearance. It might not be totally fair, but hey, it's the reality of the world we're living in. So don't be sloppy. Keeping yourself put together just ensures you're actually taken seriously right out of the gate.
But look, taking care of your physical exterior, that's really only half of mastering the basics. The other half is mastering your internal ego. You've got to learn how to take criticism without completely falling apart. It's crazy how many people take a simple critique as a massive personal attack. But if you look at the most successful people out there, they actually welcome criticism. They actively ask for input on how to level up, especially from folks with more experience. Because think about it, if you lack the ability to interpret and actually listen to constructive critique, you just get trapped in your own mind. You can't expand, and ultimately, you just become stagnant.
Which brings us to Pillar 3, Protecting your environment.
You can have all the self-reliance and perfect grooming in the world, but all your progress can be completely derailed by the people you choose to hang out with. Dazel actually experienced this toxic dynamic firsthand. He was on this great trajectory of self-improvement. You know, he wanted to grow his finances, work on his physique, the whole 9 yards. But his large friend group, they just wanted to go out, party, and get drunk every weekend. In fact, they actively made fun of him for wanting to go to the gym. It was wild. So he realized he had to cut ties. He moved toward a much smaller, audited circle of like-minded friends who actually shared his passions, his drive, and his interests. And guess what? That is exactly when he truly started to flourish. You absolutely need to audit your friends. Evaluate the real value you get from them, just like you'd evaluate a toxic romantic relationship versus a healthy, uplifting one.
Really, it all comes down to a pretty harsh mathematical certainty. Dazel gives a very stern warning here. If you have 5 lazy friends, you are inevitably going to become the 6th. Period. You are the company you keep. If your friends aren't pushing you, supporting you, and motivating you, you're simply not going to get where you want to be in life.
All right, let's look at Pillar 4, resilience and boundaries.
So protecting your environment often means defending your personal integrity, especially when you're facing serious interpersonal challenges. And let's be real, one of the biggest challenges to our confidence is heartbreak. So ask yourself right now, are you letting a breakup define you? Daisel points out that people so often just completely lose themselves when they get broken up with or cheated on. They start second-guessing their worth, their integrity, their actions. They hold on to so much anger and confusion that they literally alter their own personalities. Please, don't do this. Don't change your good values and your best qualities just because a former partner overlooked them. You've got to let the breakup grow you, not define you. Because those exact same values, they're going to bring joy to the next person you meet.
And this idea of relationship resilience totally expands into a broader need for personal boundaries. Specifically, we're talking about the incredible power of the word no. Daisel openly admits this is something he deeply struggled with in the past. He used to be the classic nice guy who didn't want to disappoint anyone, and because of that, he was constantly taken advantage of. Those two simple letters, N-O, are unbelievably empowering when you use them appropriately to defend your own moral compass.
Which brings us to the real true definition of self-respect. It is the ability to say no from your chest and just leave it at that. You do not need to over-explain yourself. When you do something against your will just because you can't stand up for yourself, you are literally handing your power over to someone else. True self-respect means empowering yourself to draw a hard line without feeling this endless, exhausting need to please every single person around you.
And finally, we arrive at Pillar 5, confidence versus arrogance.
Now, if you've been applying those first 4 pillars, you are building some immense personal power. But it is absolutely critical that we establish the difference between genuine self-assurance and a toxic ego. There is a very stark contrast to be aware of here. Arrogance? That's about being the loudest person in the room. It's flashy. It's about bragging about how much money you make, the people you've been with, or the designer clothes you wear. But guys, that is not confidence. That is just insecurity wearing a mask. True confidence, on the other hand, is silent. A truly confident person is observant. They take in their surroundings, they evaluate the environment, and they actually listen to what people are saying before they speak confidently on a situation. So don't ever confuse arrogance with strength, and certainly don't confuse power with being loud.
Daisel's ultimate piece of advice boils down to this: stay grounded, stay humble, and let your presence speak for itself. Having that quiet, unshakable confidence in your appearance and your actual proven abilities is always going to impress people far more than flashy, loud behavior ever could.
So we're going to wrap up this explainer with a question for you to take away and chew on. Are you ready to stop waiting for permission and start building your confidence today? We've walked through taking messy action, mastering your basics, welcoming critique, auditing your friend circle, establishing firm boundaries with the word no, and rooting yourself in quiet, observant confidence rather than loud arrogance. The entire blueprint is now right in your hands. The only thing left? It's for you to become the hero of your own story and just take that first step.